Okay, so I am now recording again, and I am sharing my screen. So I suppose that everything is good. Glenn says that he has picture and sound, so everything is good. I'm going to go through this where we got to. And what we got to now was the mental energy, especially for a competition, that you need to have just the right amount of mental energy. So on the picture you can see here, the guy on the left is a bit bored, maybe even sleepy. So he has definitely not got enough energy to get to this competition. But the other one on the other side of the scales, he might have too much anxiety or performance anxiety or whatever he has. He's nervous. I can see that just by looking at him, and that's fine because everyone is a little bit nervous at a competition, and I enjoyed being nervous when I was shooting because, well, not the first time I was nervous because that was when I shot at the World Championships. Um, so the most common scenario at a competition is that you're too nervous or you feel that you're too nervous. So that's the one I'm going to talk to you about now. So when I was at the World Championships back in 1990, I was nervous, and I could feel that I was nervous. And what it did to me, that I was not aware of at the time, and that's why I'm telling you now, my nervousness made my body react differently to the stimuli that I was receiving from pulling the string and having my grip in my bow, having my hand in my bow. So I would put my hand in my bow and I would take hold of the string and I would come up to full draw and I would be aiming at the target, but it didn't feel right. It did not feel right. And I was struggling to get the correct feel, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't get the correct feel of my shot. And even losing the shot and everything with the shot, it did not feel right. Now, if something doesn't feel right in your shot, you're going to compensate. You're going to try something else. So I had the funny feeling of my fingers in the string. It was not the way it was supposed to be. So I was messing around with my fingers, my grip, my hook, and I was messing around with my hand in my grip on the bow, and I was messing around with everything. And of course, messing around with everything makes your arrows flying all over the place. So I didn't hit the middle of the target where I used to hit the middle of the target. I hit everywhere else, um, because I was overcompensating and I was nervous. I figured that out years later, but that was what was going on. So it's the feel that is different. So one thing to be aware of is, well, if you are nervous at a competition and you're going to shoot against some big shot or something and you're nervous, accept being nervous. Don't try to fight being nervous. And then, of course, now is the thing where you're going to have to trust yourself. You're going to have to trust that you have been shooting your bow thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of shots. So of course it's right. Of course, you're picking it up. You're doing exactly what you normally do. So it is correct. You have the correct shot. Trust it. You have to trust yourself because your body is signaling this is not right. There's something wrong here. It is not the correct shot. That's what your body is trying to tell you. But your body is full of it. It's lying to you. It's just because your adrenaline is pumping around and you therefore get different feels from your body. So they will mask the correct feel. So you are doing it correctly and just keep on doing it correctly. And then just shoot the shot, execute the shot as you would normally do, trusting yourself that it actually does work. As soon as you've done a couple of shots with that, then you will start to recognize that, hey, yeah, I am actually hitting the target where I normally would. I am actually shooting my shots correctly. So it's good. So this is what my thing about the mental energy was. But there are different things that you can also do with the mental energy, because just accepting being nervous does not help you not be nervous until you really do embrace being nervous. So you can actually, if you think of the feelings of being nervous, you get your butterflies in your stomach and you're shaking all over. And it's the same feel as when you feel excited. It is actually. So you should just interpret those feelings as being, hey, I am at the final round of the nationals. I'm actually shooting against who is in 5 minutes number 2, and that is awesome. So you're really excited about shooting against someone, and it's someone who's a big shot, and you're nervous because, well, this is this. So I was talking to Glenn on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and the example I brought up was Brady Ellison. And now Brady Ellison is a crack shot. He definitely knows what way to point the arrows, and he hits the target quite a lot. Actually, he hits the middle of the target quite a lot. Actually, he hits the middle of the target every single shot almost. But instead of being nervous because he's hitting the target, just, oh man, this is the dream come true. I'm actually shooting against Brady Ellison. This is just so fantastic. And the reason I'm shooting against Brady Ellison is because I'm that good. I am that good that I have qualified to shoot against Brady Ellison. And that, my friends, is a really, really, really nice feeling. Then you would get all your nervousness, and you can actually use that nervousness into making an active, aggressive shot. Make a really, really, really nice shot. Put some energy into that bow. Put some energy into those arrows. And if you feel you need that energy from somewhere, you can visualize your nervousness. You have the butterflies in your stomach. You have your jelly legs and everything. You can you can view it. You can close your eyes and look at it. And if you have ever seen a sci-fi movie or a magician movie or Harry Potter or whatever, you see they're going to do like that with their hands, and little balls of fire come up, or some lights. If you visualize your nervousness as lights, so you've got your lights going around in all of your body and your legs, and you can channel this light into your brain, and then your brain will take this light and take the energy from it, and you can channel the light back down in your arms, and you can make good strong shots with that light, because that light is pure energy that you can use in making an active shot. And that does, of course, take some practice. So go ahead and download the audio files if you need help for this visualization of the nervousness. But once you've got it done, you will actually love being nervous at a competition. And that gives me the next part, because once you start loving being nervous, it'll go away. And you'll go, oh, where's my nervousness? I want my nervousness back. So, but you can work on that too. Okay, so let me see, did I? Yeah. So the next thing is the focus. And I've been talking about this before, because a lot of these areas on the mental management of an archery training or competition, a lot of this is goes around in circles, and they're intertwined with each other. So focus is, of course, being able to think of the correct thing. So someone asked before on the previous session, well, what if you have some unhelpful thoughts and you're actually thinking about scores instead? And to be honest, that most of the tournaments where there are finals, it's kind of impossible to not think about scores, because I know that the most final rounds here in Denmark, at least, and especially also at all international competitions, someone's going to tell you the score, and they're going to put signs up with your score. And when I was at the Paralympic Games back in 1992, after each shot, they would say in the loudspeaker, and Jens has shot a 10, and now he has a 3-point lead ahead of number 2, and blah, blah, blah. And you're going to be aware of that score. And what the thing is that you're going to have to still be able to focus on your shot. Now, this is going to sound stupid, but I'm going to say you have to shoot your shot before it hits the target, okay? Yeah, that's pretty obvious. Most people is going to say. But what happens to a lot of people is they go to a tournament and they shoot the qualification round pretty good, and they advance to the first round of finals, the 16th finals or the 8th finals, how many you are in the group, whatever. And the qualification round has they've been shooting as they normally would, focusing most of the focus is on actually shooting and executing the shot, and sometimes you're going to focus on the target instead, but not all of the time. So your score is going to be somewhere where you can actually advance to the first round of finals. So you get to the first round of finals, and this is where it goes wrong for a lot of people, because now you suddenly start to think, now I have to hit the 10. Okay, so your focus is now on the target, so you're going to hit the target before you shoot the shot, and that's kind of not the way it works. You have to shoot the shot and then it'll hit the target. But if you focus on hitting the target, I want to hit the 10, then you're not going to focus on shooting and executing your shot correctly. So that actually means that you may well hit the 10. That might happen, but you may also hit the 8 or the 7 or miss the target or whatever, because your focus is not on your movements as an archer. You have to shoot the shot before it hits the target. I know it sounds kind of stupid to stress it out, but if you do have this in mind, actually put it in your words of wisdom in your book. I have to shoot the shot and then it'll hit somewhere. Okay. Not the other way around. You cannot focus a good shot if you are focusing only on where you want to hit. You have no influence on where it's going to hit. You have influence on shooting the shot, not where it's going to hit. And when you get to the finals, yes, of course, it would be nice to shoot only tens. That would be very nice indeed. I would like to shoot 150 points against Martin Damsbo in compound shoot off. That would be so nice, or a combat shoot. That would be so nice. But I don't shoot only tens. That's not kind of my level. So if you have that that feeling of your finals that you need to shoot only tens, that's rubbish. You have to shoot your level. So if your level somewhere is, let's say, for a fairly good recurve shooter, not national or international quality, but a fairly good recurve shooter is 540 points. 540 points is an average of 9 points. So that does not mean that you have to hit the 9 every time. That means that sometimes you hit the 9, sometimes you hit the 10, sometimes you hit the 8, sometimes you might even hit the 7. So if you have a good grip on your shoot, and now I'm talking, this is an indoor score, of course. So if you take a look at your target face after you've shot an 18-meter indoor score, you have a group somewhere around the middle. Maybe it's about like that. So maybe it's like that. Maybe it's like that. That's depending on what your level is. If your group is like that and you're in a final, if you hit within your normal group, you're doing well. If you hit within your normal group, you're doing well. You do not have to hit groups like that just because you suddenly advance to the finals. You may lose this match. Yes, that might be true, because the other guy, let's say you're number 16 shooting against number 1, and he does have groups like that, and you do have groups like that. Well, we're going to have someone to win anyway, and he's probably the better archer. But if you shoot your arrows nervously and try to hit the 10 instead of trying to shoot the shot, you're going to have a group like that. And that's not, you're still going to lose. But I would rather lose with a group like that than a group like that. I hope you understand what I mean. And then you will gradually, as your experience grows, you will get tighter and tighter groups, and you will have similar groups in the finals as you do as the qualifying. Okay. So there's no reason to actually be nervous, because you're just shooting a shot just like you normally would. You've spent probably hours, because I know that archery is a an hour consuming sport. It's time consuming sport. You spent hours and hours and hours and hours. Actually, when I was shooting and when I was training for the Paralympic Games in 1992, I spent 80 hours a week on my preparation. So that was, I shot a full feature in the morning, I shot a full feature in the afternoon, and then I shot in the evenings. If there was a normal club night, I would shoot there too. And I shot a lot of arrows, and I did cardiovascular training, and I did weightlifting, I had mental training. So I spent 80 hours a week on this. But you're spending a lot of hours at the shooting range. You're teaching your muscles in your body and your subconscious, this is how to shoot a shot. So what you do is you pick up the bow. I know exactly how this is done. And you don't have to think every single step. You don't have to think all that. You just think how the shot is. Okay, now put the grip, put the hand there up, pull through, click, bang, off it goes. And that's how you shoot the shot. In the finals, for some reason, a lot of us start, okay, so I've spent tens and thousands of hours teaching my body how to shoot a shot, but now I'm in the final, so now I'm going to do it differently. Now I'm going to let the brain decide how to do this instead. That's stupid. Actually, that's really stupid, because your brain is going to go, okay, muscles, now listen to me. I'm going to take you through step by step how to shoot a shot. And then your muscles will go, we know how to do that. And what you're saying is wrong. So your brain doesn't know how to shoot a shot in detail. Your muscles do. Your subconscious brain, your subconscious mind knows how to signal your muscles to shoot a perfectly good shot. Your conscious brain doesn't. So that's what goes wrong. Your conscious brain tries to take over in detail. And what happens is you're going to be careful. I have now to shoot this shot really, really, really carefully, because it has to hit the 10. You might even get your focus back to where it belongs, back on your body. And I have to really focus on this shot, right? So you're pulling up full draw, and everything is done carefully. So doing things carefully makes it take a longer time. So you normally would have a shot last from your anchor point to your loose might be 3.2 seconds, or might be 4.5 seconds. I don't know. Different people do it in different speeds. But if you're suddenly taking, instead of 3.2 seconds, you're 7 seconds, how is that going to affect your muscles? You're normally at a 3-second shot, and now you're suddenly at a 7-second shot, because you're trying to be too careful. You're trying too hard to be careful and to be too detailed. And you should not do that. When I trained, I found out that having a good rhythm in the shot, bang, that helps me quite a lot on keeping focus on the big picture of the shot, because my muscles know, my brain knows how to tell my muscles exactly how to shoot the shot. So I don't need my conscious brain to tell me in detail how to do that. So I actually had a metronome from standing on a piano going click, 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 click. At the time, I bought a electronical one that had battery in it and could put earplugs in. So when I was on the training ground shooting archery, I'd have the metronome in my pocket with earplugs, and I was listening to the click, 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 click. And I was trying to get the clicker, my clicker. I was shooting the recurve bow. My clicker had to click when I wanted it to click. I didn't want my clicker to suddenly go off. I wanted to be in charge of when my clicker went off. So I learned that with a metronome. Today you can just download it probably somewhere on your mobile phone. You can get a metronome, and then you can use that for your training if you want to. Okay, self-confidence is also a part of the mental game in archery. And if you don't have your trust in your shots, you're going to shoot badly, as I was telling you about before. You might get performance anxiety, because you want to get as many points as you want. You want to get more points than you're used to. Maybe even someone in the spectators room are expecting you to get 575 points at an indoor shoot, or 500, whatever your level is, or for a barebow shooter, 450, I don't know, something. Maybe if you're a young kid and your parents are expecting you to actually get a prize or so and so many points, then you might develop performance anxiety. And that is where you start also being too careful, as I was just talking about before, and you slow down the shot. So you need to actually just on your self-confidence to trust. You have to trust yourself. You have to let your conscious mind say, just stop doing this. Don't try to overrule my subconscious mind. I trust my shot. I know that the feeling is different now because I'm nervous at this final round. I'm shooting against something, some person who is really, really good. So I'm nervous. And therefore, I will do things carefully because I'm not confident. And what you need to do is trust yourself. And you can trust yourself if you have practiced trusting yourself in visualization during the day, 10 minutes a time, 3 times a day, every single day of your rest of your life. Just visualize shooting confident shots and you will get there. And it does take time, of course. So you have to believe yourself. You have to trust that I know how to do this. So I'm just going to do what I normally do. Okay, so I've been talking about, I prepared for a competition. I prepared for the Paralympic Games in 1992, and I really, really, really wanted to win this. I really wanted to because um, I had performed what I thought were rather bad in 1990 at the World Championships. I had learned quite a lot about the mental thing. I had trained quite a lot for the indoor European Championships in 1991, and I won the gold medal there. So I knew that this was an indoor 91 thing. So a year and a half after my gold medal at the Europeans, I knew there was going to be the Paralympic Games. So I had a year and a half to prepare for this. So how do I prepare for something that's going to go on a year and a half later? I wasn't even sure that I was going to be selected to go to the Paralympic Games, but I had quite a hunch that I would probably be. So preparing for a competition, I know, of course, there's the strength that I was talking about. And I also know that I had to run or do something exercising to get my pulse up so I can be quite fit. Now I'm just fat, but there's almost the same 3 letters. Never mind that. So I just had to prepare my body and also my mind. So preparing my mind for a competition is I would prepare for this particular competition. I did the following. I knew exactly where the competition was going to be held because that was announced years before. So I knew exactly where this was going to be held. So I actually got some pictures from a book of where this place is. And I started to visualize in my head, what does an Olympic target field look like? And I could see this from different videos that were out at the time. I remember that Jay Bars had a video called 1,000 Arrows and a Vision of Gold. He won the 1988 Olympic Games. So I got a hold of a copy of this video here and I watched it and I knew now more or less what a Olympic target field would look like. So I had that in my head. I knew also that people around me were going to be speaking different languages. So I had that in my head. I knew everything that I could possibly know about the Paralympic Games I had in my head, and I researched quite a lot. I knew that the official languages for the Paralympic Games in Barcelona in 1992 were going to be Catalonian as the first language, English as the second language, Spanish as the third language. So I knew that they were probably going to speak Spanish or Catalonian, and I can't tell the difference between those two, but they can. So they were going to speak Spanish or Catalonian in the speakers, and they were also going to speak English in the speakers. So I prepared myself with this in mind too. And every single day for a year and a half, I shot the Olympic or the Paralympic in this case qualifying round in my head, followed by some finals. And I knew, of course, who were going to also be around me. I knew my opponents. I knew who they were going to be. There was going to be Jan Thulin from Sweden. There was going to be Ryszaj Olesznik from Poland. I knew that they were going to be there. I knew I was going to probably meet Kenichi Nishii from Japan because he was a really, really good shot. And I did actually meet him, and I met him in the gold finals. And I had in my head when I met him in the gold finals, I said, hey, I am shooting against Kenichi Nishii, #2 at the Paralympic Games. And that was what happened. So I had self-confidence, and I shot every single day inside of my head, preparing for this competition. And this was the time of Walkmans. So I had a Walkman, a tape cassette thing that you plugged into your ears that you could listen to. And I had taped some of the competitions so that I had the beeps and the thudding and the twangs and whatever from a real competition. And I knew I was going to be really, really prepared for this. Now, one thing that I've just realized I forgot to say in these 2 sessions is that when you get to a significant larger tournament than you're used to, a lot of people are going to be intimidated with the notion that, oh, I have to shoot against all these great archers. I have to shoot against Brady Ellison, and I'm just going to say some names. So I have to shoot against Rick McKinney or Jay Barrs or Jan Thulin, and they're all really, really good archers. I'm kind of intimidated here. But you can turn that one, flip it, and then say to yourself, hey, I'm at this international thing here, and all of these have to go through me. So that's another way of thinking the same thing, but it's a much more positive attitude to get to it. Okay, I think that this is going to conclude what I have. So thank you very much for attending my 2 webinars, or 1 webinar with break, whatever. I really, really hope that you enjoyed this webinar. I hope that you've learned something. If you didn't learn something, okay, fair enough. I've wasted an hour and a half of your time. Everything that I did right, please tell everyone else. Everything that I did wrong, please tell me, because that's the only way I would be able to approve. Get to my website, get those audio tracks if you need them. And I'm going to open up if there are any good questions that I may go ahead and answer. Or comments, if you have a comment, go on. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can say properly goodbye to you. And see. So anyone with any questions last minute? Or
yeah, I've got a question.
Sure.
In terms of the run up to you've explained a long way out of the competition, all of the preparation you've done. In terms of on the day, I saw something recently on it was a coaching video on YouTube, and it went through something called passive thinking and then the visualization. Do you know anything about the passive thinking and the kind of way to kind of prepare yourself, for on the day, for the day, as well as that kind of, raising or lowering your mental energy? And just before you go, just I want to say thanks for coming on the podcast a couple of weeks ago.
Sure, no problem. No, I've not actually heard the term passive thinking, but what would that be? Passive thinking? I
think it was just thinking about a scene, just something that was like, somewhere relaxing, like a forest with a stream or something like that, where you just kind of thought about that just as a separation from, the travel to the competition, and it was
Yeah,
kind of a transition.
yeah. When I was shooting, I would actually have my Walkman with me. This was, as I said, the era of Walkman, and I would have music on it, and I would just listen to some music, and then just relax. Do well. That would probably be passive thinking, or maybe even not thinking, if you can do that. So
Yeah.
I would do that on the competition, and I would also do that between ends sometimes, and before getting to the next final round and stuff like that. So I
Yeah,
would,
I was interested as well, when you were counting to 10, about like a recovery strategy after kind of bad arrows. You've had a bad end, or
yeah,
it's kind of below. You talking about the size of your group and what you would shoot as an average if you'd suddenly kind of dropped off from there, as like a recovery strategy for something like that.
well, I do have a few points in a recovery strategy, and if you suddenly feel that you have a lack of confidence, and uh, just during the tournament, oh, why am I suddenly hitting eights and sevens and sixes or something instead of where I normally hit? What will help in the confidence thing here is, because if you keep on hitting outside of the gold, and that's what you normally want to hit, if you keep on doing that, then you're going to feel a lack of confidence, and it comes just like that. It's really very, very quickly there, and it's very hard to get rid of again. But one way to actually get rid of it again is just to close your eyes before you go to the shooting line, and then think very fast, 3 arrows hitting the gold. Right, just like it's the start sequence of someone who has recorded something for a sports TV show. There might be some, you can watch some golfers. You see 3 golfers play their golf balls, or and you can just shoot the 3 arrows, and the only thing you see is the impact, and they kind of like a 2-second thing for the whole 3 hour impact, or maybe even a 1 second thing. Just think that over and over and over and over again, and of course you have to have put your own fletching on and your own arrows. So that's
Yeah.
what you have in your head, and then you go to the shooting line, and then you think a shot through in your head, and then that can help your suddenly lack of confidence.
Yeah, cool. And the same kind of thing again in terms of if you're in a slump, or if you've got, you've hit a plateau, using visualization to kind of get through that
Yeah,
plateau.
yeah, yes, you can. Getting to a plateau when you're training archery, the most typical archer will, when you start archery, you will shoot everything but the target on the first night, and then more or less you'll start hitting the target with some of your arrows. And if you never ever plan your archery, you will increase in level. Okay, you will get better and better and better until some plateau, and that plateau is different from person to person. That could be, for a recurve archer in indoor shoot, could be 450 points, or it could be 550 points, but you will reach a plateau, and no matter how many more arrows that you shoot, no matter how many more, you will never get past that plateau until you start planning your training. You start consciously thinking, what can I do to increase my training here? And it does not help to just shoot a lot of arrows. That helps until a plateau. From there on, you have to put some quality inside of your training.
What do you recommend in terms of, so what would your mix of training have been like per week before a major competition? How would you get through plateaus? What would you shoot volume? Would you do cardio and mental work, or what was the kind of mix up?
Well, when I was preparing for the Paralympic Games, I would do everything on every single day. Well, sorry, no, not everything, because the weightlifting stuff I would only do every other day.
Right.
But
Okay.
I would shoot every single day. I would shoot every single day. I shot really a lot. Now I'm talking ridiculously too many arrows. I shot a full feature in the morning and a full feature in the afternoon. So I was at least 300 arrows a day. And I was also shooting other stuff like club nights, and I would shoot a couple of 100 hours there too. So I could easily get on 600 arrows a day, which is ridiculously too many.
Yeah. Well, it's for me. I'm at the minute. So
I was strong enough. I was fit to do it.
Yeah.
but yeah, but getting through plateaus. Well, if you do hit a plateau and you need to move up from there, you have to figure out if this is a mental thing or if this is a physical thing. Maybe your shot is just not good enough.
Yeah.
To hit better. That could be a physical. So you need to train. You're loose. You need to train whatever, and you can do that mentally.
Yeah.
So.
And just in terms of, I know when I shoot, I'm far too conscious throughout. So the conscious mind kind of takes over everything. It wants to micromanage a lot of the steps.
Yeah.
So for me,
that was what I was on
effort,
about before.
Yeah, the main effort is to try and remove the conscious mind from getting in the one.
Yeah. You can mentally prepare to, when you're on the shooting line that you do not want, you can go through the stop and then start singing the song, stop in the name of love. I don't want to think about this consciously. And if you have to stop word inside, you can also go think a mantra inside of your head while you're shooting. You can think target, back, release, target, back, release. So you've got your target, your sight on the target, you're using your back, and then release. You could just churn that inside of your head while you're shooting. You don't have to have, you should not have too complex a stream of mantra there, because then you'll start messing your stuff up, because you have to consciously think about, oh, what was my mantra? I can't remember it.
Right. Yeah. Cool. I'll let someone else ask a question now.
Well, I can see that Teresa has asked, what is your breathing process at the line and through the shot? Well, when I was shooting a recurve, I would take up to a full draw, and then I would breathe a little bit in, and then I would breathe a little bit out just before my clicker went. And I would consciously decide when my clicker was going to go. So that would be my breathing. Recently, I've bought myself a compound bow, and the shot sequence of a compound bow is for me at least quite different. And I haven't been shooting since 1996 something. So I'm really a beginner again. But now I'm a beginner with a compound bow, and I find that I'm actually breathing while I'm at full anchor, and I have to figure out how to not do that. But that is my breathing. Well, was my breathing. Any other questions?
Where is the recording going to be? Where can we see that?
I'm going to put the recording probably on YouTube, and I'm going to put links on the different groups where I've posted about this webinar that is going to be there. I'm going to put links so that you should be able to easily find it.
Cool.
Okay. So, any other questions?
It looks like Sarah had a question about self-doubt.
Yes, Sarah had a question about self-doubt. That's the same as lack of confidence. So you're not really trusting yourself. So what to do if you don't really trust yourself is what I just explained to Glenn before, is if you picture your 3 arrows going into the gold very, very fast, just before you go out to the shooting line. And if you also spend quite some time in the mental preparation of the shot, where you, if you do it, if you shoot a shot in your head, it's easy to hit the middle, right? Because you decide actually where it hits. It's very easy to hit the middle if you shoot the shot inside of your head. So if you do that enough times, you will gain confidence. And you can visualize yourself shooting the shot and executing the shot from two different points of view, from within your body, so that you actually see your arm stretch out, you see your hand and you feel your hand, and it's like you're on the shooting line within your body. Or you could have your shot visualized from the outside, like if it was on a video. And how about target panic? John says, yes, target panic is an entirely different chapter. Target panic is a major thing for a lot of people. And I do have thoughts about target panic. And one of the thoughts that I have about target panic is it is a combination fact of a mental aspect and a psychoneurological aspect. So the way now, I'm not a brain surgeon, so I don't know exactly how it works, but the way that I conceive that it works, the way that I think that it works is that when you have your brain and you, let's say, for instance, you look at your closest family, so your wife or your child or your husband or whatever. Every time you see your wife, you've seen your wife a million times, right? But you immediately recognize who she is, because your brain is actually taking an average of all of the images that you have seen of your wife. So you've seen your wife a million times, so you're just cooking that down into an average, because your brain doesn't want to process all of those 1 million times that you've seen a particular face. You want to process just an average of it. So even if the face changes slightly, like she might smile sometimes, I hope she does that quite a lot, then you're taking an average of all of these pictures and then you're cooking it down into one thing. And it's the same with your when you shoot. That's what will trigger a target panic situation. And target panic situation can be reflected in different ways. So one thing is you take up your bow, you come to a full draw, and as soon as you see the target, you let go, or you make a really bad shot. And that's target panic. And you don't know why you let go. The reason why you let go is because that your brain sees and feels, oh, there's a target. I've got a string in my hand. I have to let go now. So that's what your brain will do. And this will be what your subconscious brain will do. It will just let it go, because it's done that a million times. When you see the target face and you have the string aligned here, you're going to let go, whether or not you're ready, because your subconscious doesn't want to be a part of that. It just wants to let it go, because that's what normally happened. So you have to, if you want to work through that, then you have to be conscious about dividing your trigger that will let go premature. You have to divide into as close as possible. I have to take up, anchor, get my aim set straight. Right, now I'm ready. Now I can shoot the shot. And you're going to have to consciously think yourself in this manner to divide the shot into different processes. The aiming, anchoring process is one thing, and then shooting the shot is another thing, instead of having one big thing that shoots the shot, because that is what might potentially trigger the target panic. So to get yourself to do that is to come out to full draw, but have decided before you start, I'm just going to take it down again. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to take up, anchor, full draw, aim, and then take down. I'm going to come down again. I'm going to do that 100 times. So you maybe do that 100 times. And when you've got that, you have now got to consciously think, when I am up at full draw, okay, I've got my hand good, I've got my fingers good. You don't have to go really, really detailed, but you have to do something to get some sort of detail so that your process is in the middle of two different places. And now you decide, do I want to shoot the shot or do I not want to shoot the shot? If you decide to shoot the shot, come through the clicker and shoot it. If you don't want to shoot the shot, come down again. And practice getting in the process of being able to decide whether to shoot the shot or whether not to shoot the shot. Now, that's the neurological aspect of this, but it's also a mental aspect of this, because a target panic can also be developed with the lack of confidence. If I shoot, I'm going to do something wrong. I'm going to not hit the target. And a way to overcome, a practical way to overcome a target panic would be to stand at a target, 122 centimeter target face, 2 meters away, and then shoot the gold. That's going to be pretty easy, right? You're going to be able to hit the target at least. And then start shooting at your 122 centimeter target face at 2 meters. And when you can get, let's say, around 30 arrows shot without the urge to shoot prematurely, but take up, draw, shoot it through the clicker, and do everything correctly, execute the shot as you're supposed to do. And when you can do that 30 times, go a couple of meters back. And when you're around 5 meters, now you can start with another exercise, because if you can still do that 30 arrows at around, let's say, 5 or 6 meters or something, then you can put a 40 centimeter target face on top of your 122 centimeter target face, but not covering the gold, a bit below, so that you have your 122 target, the gold there, and then beneath that you have the 40 centimeter target face. Now you shoot 3 arrows at the big 10, and if you do that correctly, you reward yourself by shooting 3 arrows at the small 10, the 4 centimeter 10. If you can do that correctly, go back to the 3 arrows and 3 arrows, 3 arrows in the big face, 3 arrows in the small face, 3 arrows in the big face, 3 arrows in the small face. Once you've done that, you can go to 3 hours in the big face, 3 hours in 6 hours in the small face, and then you can increase your distance. But keep the 122 centimeter target face, and then keep swapping from one to the other, because it's going to boost your confidence, even though you know that you can practically not miss the gold of a 122 centimeter target face at 5 meters distance. You can practically not miss that. It's going to boost your confidence, and you're going to have the confidence in shooting the small target face. And then just keep going, stepping back, stepping back, stepping back. And all of a sudden, you're at 18 meters shooting a small target face without any target panic. And it takes time. Target panic takes time, and it implements itself differently from person to person, and it takes a lot of time to get through it. And then again, you will actually not get through it, but you will be more conscious of your shot. And in that manner, you'll probably see when you do not actually shoot bad shots because of target panic, but you're consciously overcoming target panic, you will actually probably find that your shot is going to improve, and you might even find an increase in points. Target panic is a big question. So, but that was my take on it. Any other questions? I hope that answered your question, John. You're welcome. Okay, let me just browse in the chat, see if I have missed some. Okay. Okay, I can't seem to find any more questions. if you feel that you have if you feel that you have an unanswered question, now is the time to say something. Okay, that's more or less what I've done with target panic, working on it for a couple of months now, and I'm up to 15 yards. So someone is at 15 yards with the way that I explained about target panic, and that's good. So you can get further and further. And Eric said that he's been working on this a couple of months. So actually, this can take a lot of time. So be prepared to take time, but hang in there. Of course, you can boost your self-confidence on the mental preparation. Just visualize yourself shooting perfect arrows, and then that will give you some more confidence to overcome your target panic. Okay. Anything else? Any questions? Okay. Well, I am going to conclude this session then, and I hope that everyone enjoyed the session. If, as I said, whatever I did wrong, tell me, because that will improve me. Whatever I did right, tell everyone else, because that would be nice. Okay, so thank you very much for joining this session. And I will be posting this on YouTube, and I'll post the links somewhere in Facebook on the different groups that I posted about the webinar. And well, have a nice weekend.